So welcome everyone to today's webinar on elevating leadership through coaching. This is really a guide to transforming teams, and I'm thrilled to have you all here as we explore the profound impact coaching can have on leadership effectiveness and team performance. Before we get started, a little bit about us here at Intuity Performance and what we're all about. Intuity Performance is really your people development partner that strengthens communication, builds connectivity, and fosters emotionally intelligent humans. We offer personalized and scalable training solutions that deliver measurable results through what we call leadership coaching. So that's elevating leadership at all levels throughout your organization. Team coaching, that's really about connecting executive management or department teams to work towards collective goals, as well as our whole person leadership cohorts. So there's 3 different cohorts that we run in that supporting managers and executives on their leadership journey, as well as whole person development. So this is building up individual and team human skills with our micro series, workshops, and keynote speaking engagements. So I'm Angie McCabe. I will be your facilitator today. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Intuity Performance. I have 10 plus years in senior HR roles. I'm a 40 under 40 honoree, the Best Business Awards in 2023, as well as top 25 HR professional in Canada through HR Reporter in 2016. And I'm a certified CHRP and ACC coach, as well as a DISC and EIQ assessor and facilitator. So for today's takeaways, we'll delve into why coaching is essential for effective leadership and how adopting a coaching approach can empower leaders to unlock their team's full potential. Specifically, understand the significant impact of the coach approach on leadership and effectiveness, gain insights into integrating a coaching mindset into your leadership style, as well as experiencing real-world examples of how the coach approach can transform team dynamics and improve problem-solving abilities, as well as increase job satisfaction. So for our housekeeping, just a few quick items. Please raise your hand in person or on screen at any time if you'd like to speak or jump in and ask a question. We're here to help. Participate using the chat function or unmute your mic. In the group discussion, share from your experiences rather than provide advice. That's what we've found to be super helpful. And if you need to step away, drop a quick note in the chat. So the impact of leadership styles. So the importance of a strong leadership comes down to the impact, how you impact people on an individual level, how you impact your team by sharing your unique skill sets, as well as how you impact overall company culture. Leaders who inspire people to perform at a higher level can really increase an organization's productivity, culture, and profits. We know this. However, to motivate and support others, you may have to adapt your leadership style depending on the person and or context. In a recent study, half of the respondents said that their companies lacked sufficient leadership talent, and 47% predicted there would be a shortage of leadership or executive level skills in future. This presents an opportunity for up-and-coming leaders like ourselves, or evolving leaders, I should say, to identify who we want to be as a leader. So when we're thinking about leadership styles, we know that there's approximately 27 different leadership theories out there from the start of history to now. Only the most recent identify the need to consider what we call our soft human skills. I think they're really essential myself, but a little biased. One of which is, the trailblazer of emotional intelligence and leadership, Daniel Goleman's 6 leadership styles. So I'd like us to delve into the Daniel Goleman's leadership theory on a surface level to really dive in and understand the 6 different leadership styles and how this can be applied with your leadership approach. So when we're thinking about the 6 leadership styles, there's a belief that a leadership theory ought to consider things like traits, behaviors, and the situation at hand. Essentially, this affects which leadership style the leader should choose to get specific results from their team. Gone are the days of thinking about there's one leadership style that fits all. And the basis of the 6 leadership styles is around emotional intelligence, or EIQ. And what this means is that your company culture and individual team members and or the projects or challenges you're looking to solve may require different leadership styles. So the 6 styles are, they look a little bit smaller on the screen here, but I'm sure you can see them. Affiliative in yellow, and then going clockwise, democratic, commanding, peace setting, visionary, and coaching. And so when we're sorry, I'm just letting someone else in. Welcome. And when we're thinking about the 6 Daniel Goleman styles to leadership, I'd like to give you an example. So we had worked with a particular executive in a firm that has over 200 employees in British Columbia, Canada. And so in going into the COVID scenario 2 years ago, this particular CEO had to take on the pace setting and commanding leadership style. Typically, we would say those are 2 styles that you would utilize sparingly, but it was because of the nature of COVID. So we're talking about things like safety, having understanding, clear expectations, communications, and putting out a lot of fires. So of course, this particular leader, his natural style was more coaching, taking that coach approach, or democratic, having 2-way conversations and joint discussions and joint decision making. So having that ability to wear those multiple hats and understanding in what context is very important to essentially elevate your leadership styles. So we're going to look at a real world applicability of 6 leadership styles displayed at Beehive Consulting. So if you joined some of our other webinars before, you may have met this team of executives. But if not, we're going to look at how each of them display very different leadership styles. And while we're going through these, I'd like us to do a quick activity together. So grab a pen or a piece of paper, maybe have a digital notepad, and write down the 6 leadership styles: affiliative, democratic, commanding, pace setting, visionary, and coaching. And as we go through this following exercise, think about another manager or peer and the leaders you've worked with in the past, or maybe leading alongside of you today. And as we go through each of these leadership styles, I encourage you to try and identify which primary style your network of leaders may reflect. Remember, we may have to flex different leadership styles depending on the context and the team we're leading, but do your best to see where you fit in as well. And afterwards, we're going to do a group exercise to help you better understand how to adapt to different leadership styles. Is there any questions? Okay, let's jump in. So let me introduce you to Sally. She's our people and culture affiliate leadership style. And when working with her team, she uses that particular type of style for the most part. So she's really about developing emotional bonds with her employees, creating harmony amongst her teams, is great at mending team issues, best at motivating team members, especially during stressful times. So let's explore a little bit more about the affiliative style and how it might show up when a team is under pressure to complete a project with a tight deadline. We've all been there before, where tensions are high and conflicts can begin to surface, maybe debates. As an affiliative leader, this person is much like a seasoned gardener. You must understand that each plant, i.e. team member, has unique needs. And by providing the right support and environment, the leader nurtures them, encouraging them to share their concerns and work together to find solutions. So how do they do this? Through regular check-ins, creating a space for team collaboration and bonding. Their leader helps mend strained relationships, much like watering and caring for a garden. You have to ensure your team thrives. The results? A cohesive team that feels valued and understood, ready to face challenges together. So an affiliative leader style works wonders during times of high stress, change, or when rebuilding team cohesion. Let's look at Mike. He's a product Democrat, and he applies, for the most part, a democratic leadership style within his team. So Mike has the ability to make sure everyone's voice is heard and develops consensus amongst the team to make decisions. So when the Beehive Consulting team decided to launch a new product for their clients, Under Mike's direction, they were able to innovate and think of a new product solution where everyone agreed upon what the outcome they were seeking to reach. And essentially, by reaching a consensus, each team member was more accountable for their work because they took part in the decision-making process. So Mike, utilizing the democratic leadership style, he really seeks to build consensus amongst teams, amongst his team, and his ability to make everyone feel heard, which leads to high levels of engagement. He is great for creative and innovative collaborations, as well as being a great individual to bring the team's decisions together. Oops. Then we have Dave. He's the CEO commander, and he essentially resembles commander leadership styles. So if you worked with Dave, you'll know that he tends to lead with a bit of an iron fist. It's his way or the highway, so to speak. So when Dave says he wants something done, he expects team members to complete it without question. It may be challenging to work with a leader like Dave. However, when the Beehive consulting team were facing a crisis, Dave was the best person for the job to lead the team ahead and keep the business afloat, just like we've seen in the micro business case study with Unity earlier. There was also a time in which the team brought on a huge client. However, a couple months turned out to be very difficult to work with. Making demands, they were way outside the project scope. Dave managed to step up, deal with the difficult individual, and save the contract from falling apart. So when we're looking at the leadership commanding style, this particular person leads with a bit of force. They expect compliance from their team members. They can bring teams together during rough times in the sense of expectations and clear, succinct communication. And they're the best at managing challenging team members and our clients. Let's look at the commanding versus democratic approach and explore some more of the main differences between that traditional autocratic versus democratic approach. So commanding and autocratic is really interchangeable is what we're getting at here. And when we're looking at the commanding leadership style, the leader makes the decision. They give specific directions on how to reach the objectives, and they're assigning tasks and deadlines accordingly. So it's extremely task-oriented. Whereas our democratic leadership approach, they gather the teams together to brainstorm ideas. They help create an environment where everyone's voice is heard, and they agree upon the outcomes and deadlines collectively. So which approach leads to a more motivated and successful team or project outcome? I'm just wondering if we could pop in the chat there. Do we think the commanding style or the democratic approach? I'm just going to look at the chat over here. So we have someone that's identifying with democratic. Exactly. Democratic, yes. Lots of democratic. We know this. Fantastic. What scenarios would one leadership style be better than another? What do we think? When would the commanding leadership style be better than the democratic? Aside from an emergency situation, so we already gave that one up early. In an emergency, yeah. In a crisis, yes. What else? Aside from an emergency or crisis? Times of uncertainty. Exactly. The commanding style can be an approach, democratic with a difficult employee. Yeah, I can see that too. Once you hit that proverbial wall. Thank you, everyone. Okay. Now let's look at Connor. He's the operations pace setter. And as you might have guessed, Connor uses a pace setter leadership style with his team. So basically, he really identifies with setting high expectations for the team, provides complete autonomy over the work, and provides little management support. He's the best at really getting the most out of highly competent and skilled teams. Let's look a little bit further. One well-known example of a leader who exemplifies the pace setter leadership style is Steve Jobs. And we know he's the co-founder and former CEO of Apple. So he was known for setting high standards, pushing for excellence, and driving his team to achieve ambitious goals. His Jobs had a clear vision. Jobs had a clear vision of what he wanted to achieve and set aggressive deadlines for product development and launches. He set challenging goals for his team and also expecting them to deliver exceptional results within tight deadlines. While the pace-setter leadership style can be effective in driving performance and achieving results, it can also create high levels of stress and pressure within a team, equaling burnout, right? So Jobs' leadership style was often described as demanding and even harsh at times. However, his relentless pursuit of excellence and his ability to set new standards in innovation have had a profound impact on the technology industry and the success of Apple. Let's look at Erin. She deploys the visionary leadership style, and when it comes to the Beehive consulting team. So she doesn't just think outside the box, but she finds a way of seeing things that nobody else could even imagine. When you work with someone like Erin, you might deem some of her ideas ludicrous at first, but somehow she gets the team behind them to try. So she really has the visionary leadership style really has the ability to apply creative thinking and develop a grand vision. They're driven by a sense of purpose, and they can mobilize a team behind the vision. And this style is best used for unifying a team together towards an ambitious goal. So as we know, big ideas take time to develop. However, with time and persistence, the support of others' dreams can make it possible, essentially. So let's look at how Erin adopted a visionary leadership style. So Erin stood at the forefront of this painting a vivid picture of what a future where their company became a pioneer in sustainable technology and what this future looks like, essentially. So it's not just a concept, it's a clear, actionable plan that defines their direction for the next decade, essentially, understanding that things change. She brings this vision to every conversation, every meeting, and every team huddle, ensuring that it's not her voice alone that echoes this dream, but the collective ambition of everyone involved. The way that the visionary leadership style employs a multitude of platforms. So there's town halls, digital newsletters, the virtual Slack channels, and potentially even virtual reality demos to ensure that the vision transcends departmental silos and ignites a company-wide movement. Each team member sees their role as a tapestry of innovation, feeling valued and vital. And so you ask, what's the result? This basically is a palpable shift in the company culture. The teams were buzzing with ideas, and there's a newfound agility and drive within their projects. Because Erin shared her vision from a visionary leadership perspective, it's not a monologue, it's an invitation to co-create the future, essentially. And the creativity and commitment that they're seeing, that's the power of visionary leadership in action. So thinking about the early days of electric cars, getting someone on the moon, or creating a device that connects you everywhere and fits inside your pocket. Let's look at Katie, the engineering coach. And when you're working with an engineering team, she utilizes her coach approach to leadership. So she's investing time in understanding her team members or employees. She looks at their strengths and opportunities for growth. She creates a safe to fail environment, as well as building employees' empowerment and confidence, and is best at developing team members' performance for the future. So I want to pause here because each of these leadership styles definitely have pros and cons. And to influence the point that when it comes to choosing or utilizing leadership style, it's not one size fits all. And it's really a situational and based on where you need to meet your team. So it's asking yourself the questions. Is my team organically experienced? Or do we have a lot of new individuals outside of university? That's going to impact the type of leadership style that you have as well. What about motivators? What motivates my team is also going to impact or influence how you should approach the leadership style. Let's keep going with the coaching style. So when we're thinking about the coach approach to leadership, here's some questions to support your team's development. So there's what we call discovery questions. So it's what skills or knowledge do you feel you need to advance in your current role? So that's talking from a performative perspective. But you can also distill this down to day in the sense of, hey, how can I help you? Or what is it that you're looking to get out of our meeting today? There's also reflective coach approach questions. So looking back at recent projects, can you identify a moment where you felt particularly challenged or stretched? What did you learn from the experience? As you can see here, when we're taking on the coach approach leadership style, we're really focusing forward in the future, not so much looking in the past as to what didn't work, but what did work. So focusing on the strengths as well. There's aspirational coach approach questions. So you can say things like, imagine you've achieved your ideal state of professional growth. What abilities or competencies have you acquired? Oftentimes when you ask a team member, I can guarantee you, they will look at you like the deer in the headlights and say, I don't know. So in some circumstances, when it comes to coach approach questions, it's really important to set the stage. And in some circumstances, give options and others so that the team member has the freedom to align within the conversation and identify what they really need, want, or are committed to doing. And then there's alignment style coach approach questions. So which personal development areas do you think align best with our team goals? And so this could be, again, utilized in performance, but also can be used in day-to-day. So you're asking questions around, hey, how do you feel that this particular skill set aligns with the project that you're working on? How do you understand that this project or this thing that we do impacts our overall team goal? So you can not distill, but you can influence these into conversations that you have after, of course, setting the stage with your team members. And then there's action orientated. So what specific steps can you take in the next month to work towards the skills you wish to develop? Again, bringing it down to the day-to-day is type question. It could be, what are you willing to take on for this project? Or what resources do you need for this project? Or maybe it could be, what are you going to do to accomplish XYZ task? That's empowering your team members to really take the driver's seat with regards to their job and their tasks. And that way you can step more into that mentorship or the coach approach style. Now that we reviewed the 6 leadership styles represented at Beehive Consulting, how did you do? Were you able to identify some of your past or present leaders to which style they predominantly exhibited? How did we make out? I'm just going to look at the chat. Maybe you're thinking about yourself. Which one closely aligns with your current leadership style? Someone identified, yes, I definitely had a commander leader or two. I feel that I'm a little bit of all. Yes, I can see that. Let's go a little bit further. I have another question for you. Oh, sorry. A combination of all. Yeah. So what we're identifying with from an individual perspective is that in some circumstances, we're utilizing a blend of leadership styles. Did anyone else identify with the fact that there was one leadership style that popped out to them versus not through coaching, affiliative, democratic, commanding, pace setting, or visionary? Any other thoughts? More visionary than anything. Yeah, okay, awesome. And thinking about it from the perspective of, based on your operational goals and the team members that are working with you currently, what type of leadership style would you adapt to better serve those goals and team members? What do we think? It's a little bit reflective, I guess. Coaching and democratic. I see you. So it's really starting to think about when it comes to looking at best practices and leadership styles as to, okay, where's my baseline? Where is there a company or culture fit? And how can I show up best for my team members based on contextual situations? Okay. So now I'd ask that we can jump off of mute and jump in. So we'll look at the scenario and identify or match the leadership style. So the first one is leveraging teams to input to democratically decide on a project direction. Which leadership style should that be? Look along the right side here: affiliative, democratic, commanding, pace setting, visionary, or coaching. What do we think? Democratic? Absolutely. What about motivating the team behind a big idea? Visionary. Yes. And leading the team through a crisis situation. Commanding. Absolutely. Teams experiencing a conflict and interpersonal issues jumps into affiliative. What about a situation that requires team precision and excellence? Pace setting. Yes. We have a smart bunch today. This is amazing. Managing or dealing with difficult personalities. What do we think here? Commanding. Absolutely. Shifting the workplace from a toxic to people first workplace, we're looking at affiliative. When we're looking at brainstorming a marketing campaign for a new product, that could be democratic. And developing long-term relationships can really look at the coaching side of things. And pace setting, again, leading with a highly skilled workforce. Understanding, again, that each one has pros and cons. Leadership really plays an undeniably significant role in employee retention. They are the key players in empowering and supporting our team members to see the value in what they do and how they contribute to the organization. And we know employees quit managers, not jobs, with 57% of unhappy employees citing they leave their job because of their managers. So it's really important to not only look at your net annual turnover cost, but also how much turnover has contributed to a gap in leadership skills amongst your managers. So let's take a look at this example where we evaluate the cost. So with an organization with 200 employees and a turnover percentage within 6 to 12 months of 18% and an average salary of $80,000, we're looking at a turnover cost of $120,000 because we know that typical statistical cost of employee turnover is 1.5 times the salary of each employee. So when we look at this example's net turnover cost, it's $4.3 million to the company. And when we look at it from a leadership skills gap cost, oftentimes that's half of it. So we're looking at $2.4 million on average. So if it serves you, feel free to grab your phone and the camera and identify with the QR code or scan the QR code. And you can certainly book a call to learn more about how our Intuity Performance coaches can support you with things like identifying a leadership style blend that works for you, the team, and your organization, high performance leadership coaching, and co-create your leadership goals, identify your leadership blind spots, and much more. And feel free, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly at amccabe@intuityperformance.com.